All right, what is up, everybody? We are back here again for week number 11 of Backyard Bookie. Scott, the football season, at least the college football season, is almost over for most teams. We've been riding it long this month. Good start to the month. 2-0 in our two shared bets. It's a good start to the month. I actually got a little bit of a lead too, so I'm feeling really good. Get this thing off my face and get you punished.
Yeah, I mean, it is early. We got a lot of month
Short
left to
month.
go, so a
Short
lot
month
of
though. It's a short month. It's a very
sure.
short
I mean, we
month.
still got 3 weeks to put some bets in, and I don't expect myself to be doing any punishment. So,
Oh.
um, we have some okay games this week, I guess, but I mean, definitely some weird lines out there. Definitely some big overs and some very small unders. I mean, big totals and small totals, and some really big spreads as well. So. Interesting week. It's one of those weeks that I'm not super confident again, but I guess we'll see if we can pull a couple points out.
Yeah, it was we weren't super confident last week either, but we went 2-0 with our shared bets. That's your only 2 points. Scores for the month. I'm up 3.5 to 2. Get the half for the push. Thank you, Ole Miss. Laughable A&M. But we had the good game, LSU Bama. That was the big game of the weekend. It was a good game. Bama kind of for real. But let's get it started. What's your first bet for us this week?
So I hate to do this. This is my old college I went to freshman year. They are probably the second, third, maybe the worst football team in all of NCAA football. They're playing Louisiana Tech. They are underdogs by 7.5 points this week. Louisiana Tech also not great. Last four games are 0-4 on top of 0-4 against the spread as well. But Sam Houston coming off a game where I think their first win was against
Kennesaw
I don't know
State.
who it
Kennesaw
was.
State, it looks like
I'm
first
sorry,
win.
they struggled against a team earlier this year, and then their first win is against a team that I think they just barely got a football team, FCS team that literally maybe 2 years ago got a team, and I think they were 17-point favorites, and I
They were
believe they were losing in the third quarter. Pretty disgusting.
scored
Sam Houston
17
State was,
unanswered in the second half to win by 3.
yeah, it was pretty pathetic. 16.5 point favorites. You should be beating an FCS team, obviously. Sam Houston State was an FCS team a few years ago, if not last year. I'm not sure what year they switched. It might have been this year they finally got to FBS, but they stink. Tough to say, but they do stink. They can't score. Louisiana Tech's been around. They're at home. I'd be more comfortable if it was 6.5, but I'm okay with 7.5. I don't think Sam Houston can get this done. I don't. Let's see. They've only covered two games. One against Liberty, who also suck, and they were big dogs in that game. So I'm riding with Louisiana Tech getting the 7.5. So sorry, Bearcats, not on your side this week, but have a better football team, I guess.
You I
That's
looked
all I
at
can say.
this I looked at this game as an upset. I was feeling a little decent about them. I don't think Liberty's honestly that bad this year. I think like Liberty's pretty good. Are they undefeated? Liberty's undefeated. So, there you
Okay, I'm
go.
wrong.
Don't sleep on Liberty. I can't have the Liberty fans getting up in arms on that. But yeah, I mean, I get it. They're pretty terrible. They haven't been competitive in games where they're the inferior team. Like they've been housed by a lot of people. We thought they were decent early when they were playing division like real like P5 schools and they were hanging close to them. But it was just kind of like, yeah, what's BYU? They're awful. They're the worst team in the Big 12. So yeah, I know you don't like betting technically a team of yours, but yeah, bet against them. Why not? Who cares? Um, I got an interesting one here. We're gonna go to the SEC. Uh, Bama coming off a huge win against LSU. They're going to Kentucky this weekend. Kind of a weird Kentucky team. Kentucky was looking great, then they ran into some top tier SEC opponents and got knocked back down to earth. They lost 3 in a row against Georgia, Missouri, Tennessee. That's the cream of the crop in the East. They got Bama coming to town. But this is a sleepy game for Bama. 11 a.m. kickoff, that 12 Eastern window. Bama's played one game in this window, and it was against Arkansas, and they were down 6-0. They scored a touchdown with like 30 seconds left in the quarter to go up 7-6. So Bama kind of starts slow, coming off a big win on the road. Kentucky needs all the help they can get from their fans. I'm actually going to take the Wildcats getting 3 points in the first quarter right here. +3 in the first quarter. I think this is kind of an interesting bet. I think it's going to be a slow start for Bama. Like I said, early kickoff, big win last weekend. And Kentucky's not a bad football team. They're not like Vanderbilt. This is a good team. They were undefeated until they played those top teams. I think they're going to maybe score early, win the toss, get that football, go put up a 7, and it's basically a lock. I think Bama just comes out slow. They end up winning this game. I think the line is 11 for the game. Yeah, it's 11 for the game. I like Bama for the game. It just feels like one of those start slow, okay, we're kind of chugging along. Maybe it's a 14-6 game at half, and then they put it away in the second half. So I like the Wildcats here. I think this is just a bad spot for Bama early in this game. But yeah, the Tide are clearly better. I think Kentucky's going to give us a strong performance. Coming off a win against Mississippi State on the road, they're feeling a little bit better. So yeah, I got Kentucky +3 in the first quarter.
Yeah, being at home for Kentucky definitely helps that. But as you know, we bet on Bama last week to beat LSU, and I said that even probably by 17 points, and they beat them pretty handily. So they are coming alive late in the season. But yeah, I mean, we can see if Kentucky scores, touchdown, maybe 2 in the first quarter, and takes a lead early.
That game was back and forth first half with Bama and LSU. So 1-score game going into halftime. So Bama seems to be a much better second half team than a first half team this year.
Yeah, I can see your bet winning. It just all depends if it's really going to depend on, I think, Bama's first drive of the game. If they get 3, then probably not going to happen. I can see Kentucky getting at least touchdown in the first quarter. If if Bama matches it, then obviously that wouldn't be a win for you. But yeah, actually, did you say Kentucky +3?
Kentucky plus a field goal.
+3, okay.
Yeah, I'm getting a field goal. Even better.
Yeah.
I don't even need to be winning. All right, what's your second bet?
So my second bet, also kind of a scary one. I picked one of the worst teams in football for the first bet. This game is also interesting. Oregon is very good. USC not so good. But we know that USC can score. I don't know how much they've put up in the last couple games, but they are scoring tons of points. Let's see, 42, 50, 32, 20 against Notre Dame, and then 43 in the last 5 against 43 against Arizona. The over/under is 70. I have it out in 73.5. I looked at these this morning. I think it's actually gone up to 75. I'm taking the over 73.5. I think USC can score 4 touchdowns, but we saw what Oregon does against bad defenses when they played Colorado, and it was ugly. Hopefully Oregon, I can't imagine them not getting off to a really, really fast start and putting up maybe potentially 21 in the first quarter. This could be just back and forth, but I definitely see Oregon, having a few stops and making sure they win the game. I don't know what the spread is. Spread's 16, actually 15. So they're expecting at least 2 touchdowns and probably a weird 2-point conversion, like we said last week with Oregon.
Oregon money for the 2-point conversion.
They love doing that shit. So I could see it, 35, 42, something really high like that. USC is going to score. Caleb's going to make sure they score points, but obviously USC just fired their defensive coordinator, and they just don't tackle. So it's a little tough when you don't tackle if you're gonna beat Oregon. So I think they'll score plenty of points, and we'll cover the 73.5.
I'd be a little concerned. The only comp for Oregon for USC was Notre Dame, and Notre Dame's defense, as far as a defensive comp, and would they get 20 in that game against Notre Dame? And Notre Dame's defense isn't as good as Oregon's defense. Though they're on a mission, it feels like. Now, maybe we get a backdoor here. Maybe USC fights hard. I don't love the quarterback being literally the Drake of college football, talking about he just wants to watch TV with his dog when you're a Heisman Trophy winner, wanting to be a first round pick. A lot of red flags there. I just think Oregon is on a mission. I don't want any part of like having to rely on other teams to score. Maybe hopefully Oregon puts up a 50 piece. They feel like they're ready for Washington. They want the re-crack at them. And if they win, run the table, beat Washington again, I think they get in. We have an interesting conversation ahead of us. The way things are going to play out, it looks like should be really fun. So yeah, I just hopefully USC plays better. Their defense isn't going to stop anybody. They could put anybody, Alex Grinch, Joe, I don't know, anybody out there. They're not stopping anybody. Doesn't matter.
USC is 9-1 over under, so they have covered overs 9 times out of 10. So
that does help, but it doesn't hurt that the Pac-12 defenses are Swiss cheese minus the Oregon Duckies. So we'll see. I do like Oregon a lot in that game, especially team total. I think their team totals like 40 something. I think they put up a 50 piece this weekend. I'm going to an ugly game, a game that nobody will be watching except the fans of these teams. But it's a big mismatch here. We got two contrasting styles as far as an offense and defensive is concerned. Temple going to USF this weekend. Now, Temple, not a great season, 3-6, but their starting quarterback has missed 4 games this year. EJ Warner, their starting quarterback, pretty decent as far as like a mid-major school is concerned. Threw 5 touchdowns last week or 2 weeks ago threw 5 touchdowns against UTSA, threw 4 touchdowns against Navy last week. He can put up some numbers here, and USF is the statistically worst passing defense in college football. They're ranked 132nd. I think there's 132 teams. There might be 133 teams, but this team is just awful. They can't stop the pass, and Temple ranks 38th, and that's without their starting quarterback. He's back last week. They blew out a Navy team who's not great, not good. The only concern a little bit for me is Temple's defense is awful. They are awful on defense, and USF has been able to move the football sometimes this year. Like they scored 50 last week against Memphis, but I'm getting a touchdown on the road here. I'm going to take the Temple Owls as a dog. I just think they're not going to be able to stop them passing the football. We might have a high-scoring game. The total 69. That should probably go over. I just think Temple getting a touchdown. We're looking at a close game. Worst case scenario, if this is a good game, it's a push. So I'm comfortable getting a touchdown on the road here. But yeah, I think Temple could win this game. I looked at this as my upset at plus 230. I like their quarterback, EJ Warner. He's just, a decent quarterback for the level of competition. In USF, they can't stop. You could throw for about $150 out there right now. So, I'm going to go with Temple plus 7 on the road.
Yeah, like you said, if you're not a fan of these two teams, you're probably not tuning in. I won't be tuning into this game, but Temple has won the last 5 games. They played USF, so looks good there. Otherwise, I have really nothing to say about this game. I will not be tuning in. Is it even on TV? It's on ESPN Plus, so we're not even going to get it on TV.
We don't even need it. We don't need to watch it. We just know they cover. We just need a touchdown, baby. That's all we need.
Yeah, I'm kind of shocked. You don't typically pick underdog covers, so this has been an eye-opening episode. So good for you picking the underdog covers this week. I'm not used to that.
Wait for my last pick.
So for my third one, I did vow a few episodes ago that I would never pick an NFL game ever again. I am backing out on that. I'm picking one game. It's not a spread. But we are going to Germany. We're picking the Indianapolis Colts and New England Patriots. The big stat here, I don't know if you watched Barstool, they've watched Pardon My Take. They talk about the Lunder. When they go overseas, typically the under hits.
Depends where they're playing.
So far,
depends on the stadium.
So far,
in London.
it's been 4-0. Last week was an under, and the 3 games in London were also unders. These are 2 terrible teams. Mac Jones, bad quarterback. I can't imagine him playing in Germany and getting over the layover and all that kind of garbage, scoring much. Ramondre Stevenson might be their only hope to score. Gardner Minshew, decent. They are favorites in this game by 2. But like I said, the big stat is totals aren't getting covered this year in Europe. So I'm taking the under 43. This could be a pretty low scoring game. I feel like it could be 24-10, maybe 24-17 would still work. If it's even that much, I'd be shocked. I don't think the Patriots will score that many points. They're pretty terrible. They're fighting to get that top 3 spot to get a quarterback in the draft. They probably won't get Caleb, but potentially if they keep losing, I think he gets what's his name, Drake May for
Drake
UNC.
May?
So, yeah, I even the last 2 games have been unders, 26-3, 27-17. So we're hoping that the time change and the early start, at least for us watching, is going to be a recipe for not very many points. So
Yeah.
4-0 last 4 games overseas. I'm taking the under 43.
Unlike last weekend where I woke up to watch that Chiefs Dolphins game, I will not be waking up to watch this game on Sunday. Pretty awful teams. If you look at the Patriots, their last 5 games, the last 4, if you take out the Buffalo game, which is a division game, I mean 0 points, 17, 17, 17. They're a walking 17 points a game, 3 of their last 4, and 0 if you want to go all the way back to October 8th. So if you take out the division game, not a division game, it's in Germany. Yeah, I don't know. The Colts defense isn't good in the secondary. Their secondary is pretty bad, but their defensive pass rush is okay. It's a serviceable pass rush, so they could maybe get after. Mac is just horrible, horrible quarterback. They don't run Ramondre enough. Yeah, I like this under a lot. I like the Colts in this game too. This is going to be an ugly, sloppy game. You're going to wake up, oh, the Colts won 17-6. Congratulations. It's going to be one of those. So yeah, New England's right there for Caleb Williams, man. 2-7. If they lose out, Caleb is there. Them and the Cardinals are going to be fighting for that spot. I like this.
Yeah, I didn't even see that 92% are on the under
Makes
on
sense.
action. So that's a little scary, but hey, been the trend so far in Europe, so we'll keep following it.
All right, you're gonna get mad at me. Just complimented me on taking underdogs. I am not taking an underdog here. Sunday, fun day. A little 325 local
I know
action.
what they're doing.
Oh boy, how about them Cowboys? We got Tommy DeVito and his shoe shine box coming into town against the Cowboys, coming off a loss. It's 16.5 when I got it. It's up to 17 now. I have to take the Cowboys. I'm sorry. This is just a prototypical Cowboys game. It feels like a huge number. It feels crazy. The Giants can't throw the football. Tommy DeVito is the worst. How he is on an NFL roster is mind-boggling. He got benched at Syracuse. They were like a 3-win Syracuse team. He was so bad he got benched. He transferred to Illinois. He's terrible. He's going to get whacked by the mob with that name. He's awful. Saquon's decent, but Dallas, perfect spot. Dallas actually looked really good last weekend against the Eagles. Dak, maybe one of the best games of his year. Now, some penalties. They're pretty bad late. That's what the Cowboys are. That's what Dak is. Close game. They're not going to make that play. But man, when they get ahead, they are the best team in the NFL. All they got to win is by 17. If they win by 17, that's the lowest amount they've won a home game by this season. They are absolute monsters at home, and they just blow everybody out of the water. This is a prototypical Dallas, 43-20 against the Rams, 38-3 against the Patriots, their last 2 home games. This game's not going to be close. I expect Dallas to get up early, couple pick sixes, a touchdown or 2 from the defense. This is going to be a feel-better Cowboys game because that's what the Cowboys are. They're a front-running team. If they're playing a good team in a close game, they're going to struggle. If they're playing a bad team, they're going to suffocate and run this puppy up. So I'm going to take the points here, 16.5 for the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, I feel like the only hope for the Giants is if Dak makes a few dumb mistakes, if he's getting a little complacent, throws a pick in the on his side of the field, and they take it back to the red zone, and somehow Tommy DeVito gets the ball in the end zone.
Saquon breaks 6
Yeah.
tackles.
I mean, I looked at this one too. I'm like, man, 16.5 is so much. But when you look at the quarterback, and they also don't have Darren Waller, he's out for like 3 or 4 weeks. So I don't know who he's going to. If he can't even throw the ball downfield, I don't know who he's throwing it to. It's really just going to be handing the ball to Saquon and getting him 25 to 30 carries, hoping that he can break a few tackles. Last week I had DeAndre Swift against the Cowboys for that prop, and that didn't cash because the front line of the Cowboys stopped them. So yeah, I don't see very good things with the Giants here. I mean, they even beat them. What was it, 44-0 week 1?
Week 1
That was
with
with a
Daniel
fully healthy
Jones.
team, and they were the Giants were at home. So man, it could even be a 3 touchdown spread, and I'd still think about it. They could have potentially made this the biggest spread in the history of the NFL. So I don't know. I don't know what unless some miracle happens, Tommy DeVito learns how to throw the ball downfield.
They don't
They
even
could get
trust
very
him to
ugly.
throw. They don't even let
No, they
him
don't.
throw. It's just so bad. Brian Dable looks like he wants to be out of here. I don't know what's going on in New York. Just a
Coach of the year
dumpster
last year.
fire. Yeah, I know. Maybe that award is just kind of turns your brain into Swiss cheese. Kevin Stefanski, I think a couple years ago, he's pretty awful in game managing situations. I don't know, but yeah, I love the Cowboys this week. Cowboys do what the Cowboys do, and they're not going to disappoint me.
Yeah, what was the public have on this game? I didn't take a look there. I'm a little
Uh,
interested to see what.
86% on the Cowboys on the spread.
That's pretty crazy. Yeah, I just don't see don't if Tommy DeVito throws for more than 100 yards, I'd be shocked.
I'm sure that's his pro. What's his? I'll look up his prop number.
I bet he doesn't even have one.
He does 157.5 is Tommy DeVito's prop.
Well, I could have gone Tommy DeVito under 157.5, but I guess I'm not going to now. So for my prop, I'm going to go with Alvin Kamara. He's
Uh huh.
playing the Vikings, your Vikings, and the Fighting Josh Dobbs men.
The pass or not?
Let's see what I forgot. What was the prop here? Let's take a look here. It was 34.5 yards receiving is what I'm going with. What was I looking at? I'm losing my spots here. Yeah, last 4 games, he's gone 44, 51, 91, and 36. So he's broke at the last 4 games, and then 2 before that when he was coming back from suspension, he didn't get that much. He did have 14 targets in that first game back, which is pretty crazy.
It's absurd for a
Derek
running
Carr likes
back.
to check the ball down a lot to him. I mean, even when Drew Brees was in New Orleans, that's what he would do too. You check down to Alvin, and he would make him, run after the catch. I think he'll continue doing that. Not as many targets as I'd like to in the last few games, 5-5, but I can depend on him probably getting, hopefully 6 or 7 and getting, 7-ish yards. Hopefully, a check down. Vikings defense could potentially stop it, but I do like 34.5. Just doesn't seem that much for me. And Alvin Kamara, he's probably the best, if not maybe I guess top 3 probably receiving running backs in the NFL. So hopefully Derek Carr does his thing like he did in Las Vegas/Oakland and checks the ball down about every other play, which I know our boy Cameron loved to watch Derek Carr back in the day because that's all he'd ever do is check down. So 34.5 didn't seem that much for me. So we're going to go with the over.
No, and he's perfect at a screen game, swing pass game. The only problem I could see is if they're keeping him in to block. Minnesota leads the league in blitz percentages, and we know Derek Carr is trash when he's under duress, so they might keeping Kamara in for that extra protection, and you get the quick check downs to Olave or Slant Boy running his patented slant route. So that would be the only thing I'm concerned. But Atlanta took a screen 60 yards to the house last weekend against this defense to Jonu Smith. So yeah, they run a tight end screen. So Alvin Kamara is a little bit better than them. And all he's got to do is make a guy miss. Minnesota has been very good on the outside against backs this year. We'll see what they do. I just don't know. New Orleans, I don't trust that offense. Derek Carr, that is out. It's just that's a sham of a football team. It feels like that keeps winning games, but yeah, Kamara should have a big day. If anybody's gonna have a big day for the Saints, maybe Taysom Hill do whatever. I got another one here. I got little extra juice on this one at a -105. Little extra for the people out there. The man, the myth, the legend is back. He's a fantasy god, maybe the best fantasy player ever. It's David Montgomery. David Montgomery back into the fold for the Detroit Lions. Now, they're playing a Chargers defense who's been a little bit stout against the run this year. Really awful against the pass, but they're coming off a bye. He's healthy. David Montgomery, 5 touchdowns this year, 6 touchdowns. He hasn't played, but he scored a touchdown in every game he's finished this season. So if he finishes this game, he should get a touchdown. Now, I know Jahmyr Gibbs is coming on here, but I still love David Montgomery. Anytime touchdown at -105. I think the Lions are a really good football team. They're coming off the bye. The Chargers are playing better, but for the life of me, I cannot trust the Chargers. I can never trust the Chargers. I'm never going to trust the Chargers. Plus, their home crowd, going to be awful. Going to be a lot of Lions fans getting out of Detroit. The weather's getting really shitty in that neck of the woods, and it's LA. Everybody wants to go see LA. Everybody wants to go to these stadiums, wants to go to this game. So it should be a very friendly crowd for the Lions. Maybe the Chargers can muster something up, winning 2 games in a row. Dan Campbell feeds his running backs. He loves Montgomery. He loves him in the goal line. He doesn't necessarily trust Goff to throw the football, so he'll run the ball 4 times and make you stop him 4 times. And I got a little extra juice on this, which makes me feel even better about it. I'm going to take David Montgomery anytime touchdown at -105.
Yeah, when he was healthy, he was the man for Detroit. Jahmyr Gibbs owners weren't very happy. They probably drafted him 2nd round, and he hasn't been doing much until Montgomery got hurt, and then he went crazy. I don't expect Jahmyr Gibbs to do the same now. Montgomery was the guy, and I think Dan Campbell, he trusts what he trusts. So he's going to go back to what was working before. But he also knows Jahmyr Gibbs can do the same thing. So it might be more of a split. It won't be as heavy on David Montgomery, but definitely in the goal line.
Get those
Montgomery
goal line
was
touches.
The man. So,
get those goal line touches,
get
baby.
Get a ball to the 5, get a ball, inside the 5. Very well could be an easy little carry into the end zone. So, yeah, I don't hate that at all.
All right. What's your honorable mentions?
All right. So I have a few on here. Before I go on the one that I asked if you wanted me to be a sicko this week, we all know Iowa. I asked Peter before we started if he wanted me to be a sicko. I decided not to because I just couldn't do it. One of my honorable mentions, Iowa Rutgers under 28.5. I just couldn't ever see myself betting that low of a number. That's just crazy to me. I still think I'll hit an under, but I don't know. It's I just could never do it. Texas Tech plus 3.5 at Kansas. Weirdly enough, I kind of think Texas Tech has a good little game here and could potentially even upset them. Our game, Texas A&M and Mississippi State under 43. Public's 98% on the under. So a little scary. They really think this game is going to be 0 scoring. Obviously, Mississippi State can't score, and obviously we don't have any kind of offense with a terrible quarterback.
And Max is nicked up, so he could be one hit away, and that offensive line will give up hits on the quarterback.
Yeah, exactly. But we do have. I mean, we do have some weapons, but you got to get the ball to them. And then Penn State, Michigan over 45.5. I think there'll be a lot of throwing in that game. It won't be just milking the clock. I think Michigan's covered in most of their games this year too. But I don't know. Is the game in Ann Arbor? Or is it
in Happy Valley?
Happy Valley. That's a fun atmosphere. So I think Penn State can come out scoring, but Michigan's going to do their thing too. So, and then the one I'm in between 2 of these upsets. I'm not sure which one to pick still. I think I'm going to go with the heavier one. So I had Indiana plus 205 was my one of my dog picks that I was choosing in between at Illinois. Not really much to say there. It's just
they were
2
the pick
bad
last.
Big Ten
Indiana
teams playing each other. So
Indiana was the pick last week. They had that nice upset last week. So
yeah,
2 in a row, tough. 2 in a row.
I'm gonna go with the heavier dog for mine. So you might be surprised with this one, but you have your honorable mentions.
Yeah. My honorable mentions, I got the over 65.5 LSU and Florida game. I know Daniels may not play, but if he does, this over is a lock. Both teams can score some points, and there's not much defense being played by anybody in LSU. I know it was like cool. I actually really like Michigan on the road, -4.5 this week. I think they're a far superior team. Drew Aller's not that good of a quarterback. We saw what the Ohio State defense did to them. Michigan's defense is better than Ohio State's defense. So, and their offense is also better than Ohio State's. You know what? Michigan is just better than Ohio State. Maybe the talking and the scandal, I don't think that's going to affect them. I like Iowa State -7 on the road against BYU. We talked about it. BYU is the worst Big 12 team. I know their record says otherwise, I think, but they're awful. Iowa State coming off a loss. I like them in that spot. I actually like Ole Miss +11 too at Georgia. It's a little scary. I think that's going to be a close game. They got a good test against A&M's defense, and they moved the football. They scored on that the A&M defense. I don't think they win this game. I just think they keep it close. All right, what is your upset of the week?
So I really don't want to pick this team. They are 2-8 against a 3-6 team.
Oh,
Pretty heavy underdogs here. Vanderbilt and South Carolina. South Carolina is a home. They are 14-point favorites. This is just really an ugly game. South Carolina is coming off they played Jacksonville State and beat them by 10. They were 14-point favorites in that one, so they couldn't get the cover there. But last 4 games before that, A&M L, Missouri L, Florida L, Tennessee L. So I can probably go back further, and they've only had 3 wins, but
lots of L's.
yeah, I mean Vanderbilt's also got a lot of L's as well, but I don't know. I think this is one of those weird SEC games where Vanderbilt maybe comes out firing a little bit, not firing, but firing enough to potentially get the win. They are +450. That would definitely get me back, into the lead-ish, potentially at how well you do. But I hate this game. I'm not going to be watching this game. I don't feel good about this game, but getting 3.5 points back on the leaderboard here would be big. So go Commodores. They stink. South Carolina stinks. So we'll see what happens.
Okay, this is probably the premier game of this weekend. I don't know why I'm gonna do it. I don't love it, but Utah at Washington. The Utes at +270. They're getting 8.5 points. Look, Utah looked good. Like they looked good last weekend against Arizona State. Scored 55 points. I know this team is a tale of two teams at home versus on the road, but they went to USC. They scored 34 points. They won that game. USC's defense is horrible. We know Washington's defense isn't that great. The only teams that they've really struggled with, Oregon and Oregon State, the two best defenses in the conference. Other than that, hung 34 and 34 against Cal and USC, 55 against Arizona State. Washington did look better last week, obviously, putting up 52 against USC. Penix looked healthier. He hasn't looked great. The 2 prior games against Stanford and Arizona State, they were just kind of like ugly, not super clean games. I think there's a real shot here for Utah. The Pac-12 loves to cannibalize itself. It loves to ruin everything. It loves to mess up their postseason opportunities. This is the spot. Utah beats Washington. Washington has a loss. Oregon's redemption against Washington isn't as good. The Longhorns get put into the college football playoff because it is a conspiracy theory. Don't tell me it isn't. I just think the Pac-12 is going to shoot themselves in the foot here. So I'm going to take the Utes. I know you're rooting for the Utes. You would never touch this game at +270. I just think the defense for Utah is good enough. Hopefully they travel. Please, Utah, please show up for a road game. Please, to make things uncomfortable for Penix and that Washington Huskies offense. And maybe Utah's offense can exploit a not very good Huskies defense.
Yeah, I mean Washington had that really stinker against Arizona State, so they do have they are able to be bad. They're especially against a good defense in Utah. So yeah, I would be rooting for Utah, but now I can't. I appreciate that, but
Sorry.
Yeah, Utah's defense is really good, and their offense is showing up. Bryson Barnes is the pig farmer, as everyone's calling him. I hate that, but from the middle of nowhere, Utah, and like central Utah, where I've been, there's literally nothing there. So except for pigs, and I guess football. But he's playing really well. He's got a lot more experience with Cam Rising's absence this year, so he's figuring out. They're going to have to put up quite a few points, most likely, to beat Washington, but I could definitely see it happening. I actually didn't see this game really. I didn't take a look at the money line, or else I probably would have picked Utah as well. But yeah, I guess sort of go Utes, but hopefully Washington maybe just
Wins the
attention to
game.
spend. But
Wins the game. Utah covers though, just to make you feel
yeah.
good. All right, why don't you run it back and we'll wrap it up.
All right, so I have Louisiana Tech -7.5 against Sam Houston State. Oregon USC over 73.5. Colts and Patriots under 43. Alvin Kamara over 34.5 yards receiving. And Godspeed Vanderbilt plus 450 against South Carolina.
I don't think anybody's watching that game either.
Nope.
For mine, I got Kentucky +3 in the first quarter against Bama. I got Temple +7 at USF. And I got the Cowboys -16.5 against the New York Football Giants. Dave Montgomery, anytime touchdown scorer. And the Utah Utes on the road getting the upset against the Huskies at +270. All right, Scott, we're going to be halfway done after this week. I'll be getting close to shaving this thing off of my awful face. It's affecting all my content. Everything is down because it's so bad, but it's all your fault. Then if you haven't already, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, new sports content every single day. If you want to support the channel more, hit that join button. Really helps the channel out a lot. Get access to cool perks, early content, emojis, badges for when we live stream. And yeah, we'll see you guys next week.